A wall of balloons lines the east gate where a banner welcomes everyone to family night. Unlike usual, both the museum and gift shop are open, and the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation staff walk their family members through the store entrance. Lollipops and name tags cover a glass case by the register filled with ball and chain figurines, historical bullets. Kids grab onto uniformed parents, hide behind legs and beneath guns. No one has told me that all programs are canceled, just as no one has told them all units are in lockdown, but they can suck their lollies and admire the sunset in peace. With my lesson plan folder under my arm, I walk back down the hill to the parking lot and decide, in the spirit of family night, to visit my grandfather. My mother's father lives in the Alma Via, a housing community in nearby San Rafael. On my way there, I hear on the radio that the last 2 years of life are the most expensive. Of course, you never know them when you're in them. Inside his apartment, he's asleep, and Monica, his caretaker, is watching TV. I nudge him awake to say hello, and he says, "You're worth 37 cents, sweetheart." "That's more than me," Monica says. "Hank says I'm only worth 20. She doesn't know how to pronounce H's. Hank was a member of the Calamari Club, one of San Francisco's oldest men's clubs. They met at Skoma's on the waterfront and were the kind of powerful that lets you get away with stupid jokes. The kind that makes it seem charming to repeat things like, "Life in the wild is seldom mild," or, "What's that funny smell? Must be the fresh air." He started out as an educator, though. Maybe that's where he picked up the tone to begin with, I think. He wrote a loud book on the future of education that I consult now and again, if only to make sure I can't see myself in it. "So what's new, Grandpa?" I ask. "Old leather making new shoes, honey. Sometimes it doesn't pay to get out of bed." "Why?" "Nothing new, nothing to do." "Why don't you do some crafts? They're making lanyards in the lobby." "Come on, sweetie. You can make me a necklace. You can make me a necklace. Yeah? Pull it tight." One has to be very careful what one takes when one goes away forever. Something seemingly useless might become essential under specific circumstances. The guard at the east gate collects our IDs and folders. "No hardbound books inside," he says, shaking my colleague's hardbound book. "Physics." "I think it's already cleared, sir." "Look, I'm going to say this one time and one time only. No hardbound books are allowed inside this gate. If it was cleared before, it must stay in your classroom. You know why? Because these are excellent places for trafficking, and I don't want to see any more of them ever. Now, where are the Buddhists?" Inside the gate, one of the Buddhists says, "So you all must be teaching them to build rockets over there?" We pass the private lactation station where guards once breastfed next to a sign reading, "Weapon movement, keep clear," and a memorial slab of marble listing the names of correctional personnel killed in the line of duty. Over the loudspeaker comes the announcement, "Now in the chapel, services for Muslims, Jews, and that other one." Officer Heating is at the guard station again. He swipes me with the metal detector and gives my wrist an ultraviolet stamp. "I cleaned the stamp yesterday," he says, licking orange Cheetos crumbs from the corner of his mouth. He wasn't here last week, and when I ask where he was, he tells me he was playing hooky. As it turns out, he plays a lot of hooky. Just down the hill from the prison is a rustic shopping center. By rustic, I mean that the middle, where the Cupcakery and St. Bart-inspired Moo Moo shop entrances meet, is covered in dirt and sprinkled with picnic benches. Teenage girls saunter about in equestrian wear, sniffing artisanal soaps, shiny locks blowing in the bay breeze. On a bench by the fountain, two siblings with feet dangling far above the ground fight for the last caperberry aside a decimated sashimi plate. At a table nearby, a woman with a heavy eye on her fountain-leaning toddler jokes to her friend, "So what do you think about leashes?" "You know, it's funny," she says, "but Vanessa actually asks to wear it. Whenever she sees it, I mean. It started with our trip to Bilbao, when she was running around the airport and we needed to keep her close by. But that's the thing. I used to worry about being judged, like I thought it was embarrassing. Now it's clear to me that a leash is nothing more than a sign of how much you love your kid." Next to a long pier at a scenic view site across the freeway from the prison sits the Marin Rod and Gun Club. Signs by the gate read "Fish Smart San Francisco" and "Private property, keep out." Plaques describe the bridges, the way they were erected to withstand even the greatest quaking of the earth. One day I arrive early, and in an attempt to walk out to the pier, I enter the club's lounge. A man approaches me at the door, smelling of cigarettes and ketchup. "There's a barbecue out back," he says. "Rare event, lots of non-members." He says non-members the way history says non-believers. I live on that pier, he says. I'd take you out for a tour now, but for, you know, liability. Bring back the paperwork. On the first day of class, we make name tents, and Kara, the program coordinator, comes in for announcements. She talks about the fire camps and the 3 judge panels ruling on out-of-state transfers. Let us know if your points get raised, she says. We'll do what we can. How can we reach you? Shakur asks. Get in touch with us via YouSend'em, and we'll get back to you in, a few years. Gotta have a sense of humor around here, right? But in all seriousness, we rely heavily on tiny bits of paper. Lorenzo raises his hand and says, they docketed me today, and then Monday it's going to classification. His rhythmic way of speaking gives classification a long song-like K syllable. I ain't going to no hole, he says. When Kara leaves, I say, you all must be tired of sitting. Want to take a minute to stand up and stretch? We're pretty used to sitting, Rudolph says. Yeah, let's get to it, Habib says. Whatever you have to offer, I'm here to steal. On a large piece of poster paper, we write classroom norms. I start us off with suggestions like respect for students and teachers and make this a safe environment. Yep, prison, Oxley says. Safety first. Habib raises his hand to add a norm. Be a palm tree, he says. Have roots, but bend with the wind. We all sign the bottom of the poster in agreement, and I tape our list to the wall, careful to cover as many decorations as possible. I managed to position it over old travel ads for Mexico, Portugal, and Australia. I've started learning Italian. One of those online deal organizers had a deal for a 6-week introductory course that only meets once per week, and apparently I'm just that kind of sucker. The kind whose life is never full enough. We repeat phrases aloud like dove guidi tutti I giorni, or chi sei, and I fall in love with the way our voices sound all at once, saying things we don't understand. At our first meeting, someone asks a question about the future, and the instructor says, forget about the future. The present simple is a great substitute for the future. I have a class that's been going on for about a year. We still haven't done the future. You know why? Because we can do without it, really. Fernando is learning French, and sometimes we study together. One night I listened to Fernando read aloud. He thinks he's home alone, but I don't know it. Otherwise I would give him a signal, would cough or turn on some music. I'm quiet, but I'm no passion trespasser. His door is open, and though mine is closed, his voice comes through it. He reads Misère du Féminisme with painful precision, blessing each word with a hissing echo I don't notice in his regular speech. I open my door to boil water in the kitchen, and he jumps up, startled, and meets me in the hallway. I'm so embarrassed you heard that, he says. Nothing is the hardest thing to do, and I admire Fernando because he knows exactly how to do it. He has configured his entire life into a kind of meditation. Ask him how his day was, and he'll tell you he went to the grocery store or read a chapter of a book. Each day deserves its own task, however small seeming. Once he gave me a book he'd bound over the course of a few weeks, a bit at a time. Thanks.